Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and let's get to the latest review here folks. One of the latest of the films that didn't get wide release in theaters, didn't make much money, or found their way onto the internet. The latest of these films is called Discovery, and this is getting a Netflix release here folks. And this is directed by Charlie McDowell, and co-written by McDowell and Justin Leader. And this film begins with Thomas Haber, played by Robert Redford, who has scientifically proven that the afterlife does exist, although he prefers to call it another plane of existence here. And basically, because he has proven that the afterlife does exist, the suicide rate has gone up. There's a new term coined called going there, just this for people who feel like, yes, they want to go to the afterlife quicker than most people do. Now, of course, one of the most interesting scenes in the film is when he's being interviewed early on, in which the interviewer, played by Mary Steenburgen, asks, "Do you feel responsible for the high suicide rate that's going on?" And he replies, "No, of all things." It would be a fascinating conversation if actually we're allowed to go there. Of course, something tragic happens, which leads to Harvard being a reclusive person, just continuing on doing his research in private. So 2 years later, on the anniversary of the discovery, Harbor's son Will, played by Jason Segel, goes to visit him. He's on a ferry. He meets Isla, played by Rooney Mara, and they have a back and forth banter about discovery, I guess. And then he goes on his way. He goes then to meet his brother Toby, played by Jesse Plemons, to go see their father, who is now at this former day camp, and he's converted into like a place for people who have relatives who have committed suicide, or they were once suicidal themselves, and they wear color-coded jackets of all things. But of course, Will outright says this is a cult, and Toby sort of goes to acknowledge, yes, this is a cult. And of course, Will kind of blames his father for all the high suicide rate, which again, you would think would lead to some very fascinating conversation. Alas, they throw that away. Of course, Thomas is glad to see Will, although Will isn't necessarily glad to see him. And again, this is Thomas's lifelong research. I guess this is partially due to the fact that, Will nearly died, almost drowned as a kid. Thomas here has said, okay, now I've proven that the afterlife does exist. I want to show you what's behind the curtain here. He's been doing seismic brain activity with a machine that, it'll just record, it'll show you what the afterlife is actually. Will here really is not really wanting to deal with this, although he just has to go with it. This cast here is very good, if you like, and the very nature of this concept is actually quite fascinating. Of what would happen, yes, if the afterlife was proven to exist. But I have some very big problems with this film. First and foremost, okay, so people are committing suicide at alarming rates here, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, isn't it a sin to kill yourself? Therefore, you wouldn't necessarily make it into the afterlife or heaven or wherever else. Wouldn't you go to some other place? That's never really brought up. Probably the biggest problem I have here is this is a fascinating concept that someone says, okay, I have proven that the afterlife does exist. What they've done here is created an interesting concept on paper. The execution is so haphazard that it's just amazing here, folks. The scene that shows you the footage of what the afterlife is amazing. And the revelation of what the afterlife is not amazing. Rooney Mara, again, who doesn't love Rooney Mara, but she's given nothing to do. There's also another girl named Lacey, played by Riley Cogue, and all she does is really bicker with Thomas here, and he kicks her out. Lacey is sort of like a little bit of a nut to begin with. Thomas is really deteriorating, and that is never really acknowledged by him, although he just says, hey look, I'm helping these people out here, and yes, they have to wear colored jumpsuits. And again, there's an end revelation here that is so straight out of M. Night Shyamalan. I think this would be much more amazing if this thing was actually a book and it had 300 or 500 pages to explore all of these ideas. If this were a book, it may have some challenging ideas, but no, this film doesn't really have any challenging ideas to it. It has, okay, yes, the afterlife does exist, but it goes nowhere with it. So despite boasting an amazing cast here, The Discovery is a film that really squanders every opportunity it gets So what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going to be generous for some really interesting reason here, folks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a Netflix rating because some people might find this plot fascinating. They might find comfort. So, folks, what do you think about the Discovery? Did you happen to like it? Did you happen to care for it all? Please put that in the comment box below. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, and enrich yourself with knowledge. I'll see you next time, folks.